welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be going through some books where I really need the sequel. So last year and this year I have started a lot of series where it's the first book and the second book will either be released this year or early next year. So there's a few to get through, so let's just get started. So the first one I'm going to mention is Replica by Lauren Oliver. Now the sequel to this is going to be called Ringer and I am so excited for it. I believe it will be out in October, I'm thinking. I have already pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it this morning just because I've been looking for the hardback edition to go with this one that I've got. Replica and Ringer are both quite unique as they follow two different perspectives, Lyra on this side of the book and then you've got Gemma on this side of the book. And basically this follows kind of like a cloning facility. Lyra is a clone and Gemma is a human. And basically what happens is Lyra escapes this cloning facility when it starts to burn down and she bumps into Gemma and then the adventure continues. What I loved about this is that I read it Lyra first and then Gemma, and I was worried it would kind of ruin Gemma's side of it because I'd already know how it happened and how it ended, but it actually didn't. I loved seeing the two different sides and the twists and turns, and just it was so good, and I really can't wait for the next book because this ended on such a good cliffhanger that I just really need to see what happens, because basically everything is going to turn on its head and I just cannot wait. Another one is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. This sequel is going to be called The Empress, and I can't really go into much detail because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't read this yet. But I think The Empress is out end of this year as well. I haven't pre-ordered it yet just because on Waterstones it's not on there yet and I really want to order the hardback edition as well just so it matches. So if it comes down to it I may have to look on Book Depository, but I looked at it today and again The Empress isn't on there yet, so I don't know why. The Diabolic basically follows Nemesis, who is a diabolic, and those are basically like not robots but the humans who are kind of engineered to just protect this one person, and it was her job to protect a senator's daughter by going into the Galactic Senate herself in the daughter's place. And basically everything goes from there. There's the Mad Emperor's son, there's love, there's space, there's everything, and I just cannot wait because the Empress basically picks up straight from this, and this was originally meant to be just a standalone, but it was so well received that they went forward, and S.J. Kincaid is now writing a sequel, which I'm so happy about because the way this ended I just wanted to know what happened, so I was a bit upset, and then she went on Twitter and said, oh, it's actually going to be a sequel, and I was like, yay. But yeah, you do need to read this. This is very good and I cannot wait for the Empress. The next one is Flame in the Mist by Renée Adair. Now this only came out this year, so I have to wait a whole year for the sequel. We don't even have a name, I don't think. But this was so good. This is the Mulan retelling set in Japan, and it basically follows Mariko as her litter was raided and she goes to infiltrate the clan she believes raided it. And everything goes from there. She meets a man who is magic, she falls in love, she has to stay away from her brother. And again, the worst thing about doing this is that I can't spoil the endings, but it did end on the great ending where they get captured, and I just really want to see what happens. Now moving on to Nevernight by J. Christoph. Now this was one of the books I got from my first ever unboxing. I think it was a Lumina crate, maybe back in February, and oh, I love this so much. The sequel is called God's Grave and I think that might be out in October as well, October, November. But basically Nevernight follows Mia as she wants to train to be an assassin to get her own back on the people who killed her family. And it's really good. You've got Mia who also has these kind of like shadow powers. She's got a cat that follows her. There was murder, and I'm not quite sure how Godgraves is going to pick up. I think basically what happens is something happened and now she's been accepted into the assassins group, but they're kind of not too sure on her. So I think it follows from there, and I think it's going to be all about her trying to avenge her parents again. But if you love assassins, you will love this. I also have to mention Caravelle by Stephanie Garber. Now, I read this earlier this year. Was it January this came out? I can't really remember. But I read it straight away and I loved it. Again, because it all came out this year, we're not quite sure when the sequel will come out or if we even have a name for it yet. But it'll definitely be a book that I pre-order as soon as I can. But Caravelle basically follows two sisters, Scarlett and Tella, and they get invited into this Caravelle, which is basically like a game people get invited to. This year the game was Tella was kidnapped and whoever found her won a wish. And it basically all comes from there. You can't trust anyone because you don't know who are actors and who are real. You don't know whether to trust Legend, the guy who creates this, or even if we've actually met him yet. But the sequel looks like it'll be interesting because I think the sequel might be based more around Tella than Scarlett. So, because there are a few letters in the back that set up the sequel, apparently Tella owes something, so that will be very interesting. And I just can't wait to go back into this world because the imagery of this is so lovely with the roses and the tears and the hats. I just cannot wait. And finally, we've got Strange the Dreamer by Lana Taylor. Again, this only came out this year, so I'm not quite sure if we have a name for the sequel. But it is obvious that there's going to be a sequel because of the massive cliffhanger it ended on. I mean, seriously, if it wasn't a spoiler, I would just have to talk about it. The only reason why I'm a bit worried about this sequel is that I'm afraid it might be a bit predictable, and I'm really hoping Lana takes it in a completely different direction to what I'm thinking. But this basically follows Laszlo, who is kind of obsessed with this town called Weep, because it was suddenly erased from everyone's memory, and hence why they call it Weep. They don't know the real name. And then this envoy from Weep comes collecting scholars to sort out Weep's problem, which I'm obviously not going to tell you because that's a huge spoiler. There's another main character that I'm not going to tell you about because that's the main spoiler. But yeah, this is just amazing. I cannot wait for the sequel. But yeah, that's it for this video. So there's a few sequels that I can't wait to read, and I just think this year is going to be so good for series. I think I've got a few more series I need to read, but that's it for now. So as usual, you can like this video or subscribe to my channel, and I will link all my social media below. So I will see you later with a new video. Bye!